All right, today we have Mr. Jonathan Hwang. All right, so welcome
Hello.
here to this interview. Excited to have you on board. I think your story is inspiring, right? So, with that, right, John, before we get started in the interview, you want to share a little bit about yourself, right? What you do, right, and before we get started.
If you guys have not seen me before, my name is John Hwang. I am the founder of the Junior Investors Club. And I've been actually investing since, I think, I also can't remember, since my secondary school or slightly after secondary school days,
Wow.
right? So, and I started, in fact, with actually options trading rather than stocks. So my forte is more on the option strategies than more towards options side. But, as I move along my journey, I also learn and improve myself. So I consider myself quite an all-rounder type of investor, right?
Yeah, I love it. So you're saying that how long have you invested for since, and can you share a little bit about how's your journey since, right? Since you started, because you started at a young age, right? And I'm sure like that
Quite
time there was a
young.
lot of, there was a lot of information, right? There was a lot of like people right now teaching, right? So how's your journey, right, over the years in your investment journey, whether it's in
It's really been a very, very long and I think many people also can feel the same way. It's not exactly the smoothest of journeys. I think everybody know that. Well, when I first started, it was, I don't know. So after my secondary school days, my dad actually invests as well. But so he thinks it's a very good skill set to learn. So he sent me for investment courses and all that.
wow.
But back in the day, there wasn't so much information about these kind of things, right? So there's no WhatsApp or Facebook or any of those communities, right? So yeah, as a young person, I went, but of course, I think for many people, they experience the same story, that they were super confused after these sort of things, right? 3-day intensive, and then after that, you just can't remember. You only retain like about 10% of what you learn usually, when this statistically have shown that the retention rate for such things is very, very low, right? Especially if you don't have anybody to double check and cross refer after you are done with the thing. And back then, there was no community to go and check with anybody. So after you finish, totally lost. So I think many people also experience that. But I understood that it was a good skill. So along the way, I keep on attending such courses just as refreshers and things like that. But my results were not fantastic, right? Of course, it wasn't the best of results because again, there was no support. I had to go and really remember everything and figure it out.
So
So I
when do
think
you think, so
along the
like you're saying
way,
that it was not fantastic, right? So I just want to go a bit deeper, right? So when do you think was the switching point, right? And I'm also interested, right? If you could share a little bit about that, right? When do you decide to become what I call that full-time investor, right? To actually be to lead an investment community, right? So let's share a little bit about how did that transition happen, right? For the folks to know as well.
I've always been a person who understood about the concepts of financial freedom, right? And taking ownership of your own money. So I know this in theory, but in the practical sense, it was not easy to attain because of my lack of full and proper practical knowledge, right? In theory, we know, but in practice, that is where it's the hard part, right? So actually, my massive breakthrough was actually last year at the start of the COVID crisis.
Yep.
Right, along the previous years, I make money, I lose, I lose, so it was net zero, this kind of thing, right? But really the true pushing point came about when the COVID crisis happened. And I actually run like a side business, or actually it was my main business before the COVID thing, right? Then when the COVID thing happened, I used to run events, so no events, I had to close down my business, so I literally no income, right? And then at the same time, my investments crash as well.
Yeah.
So no income, and my investments were wiped out. And that's when I decided, I need to take it more serious. Right? I really need to take it seriously, sit down and truly focus on what is it that I really wanted to do during at that moment, because that was really the turning point, right? And then I was still attending courses here and there, right? So I attended some courses, and Am I still live or am I lagging?
No, that's too good.
Oh,
That's
still
too good.
okay. Yeah, right. So one of the big how to say, the big obstacles that
Yeah.
I often encounter along my investment journey was that there was a really lack of structured community, right? There's always this sort of small masterminds and things like that after people finish a course and they form their own mini WhatsApp groups.
Yes.
And then this often, I think many people have experienced that these often dissipate or become very spammy after a while if they're not truly dedicated and find a lot of these things they just want to, I don't know, sell advertisements or whatever, this kind of thing, right? It's very common, right? So it wasn't the community that I was looking for. I was looking for a community, but I could not find the one that I wanted. So, at the end of the day, if you really want something, if you cannot find it, you just gotta make it yourself, right? So that's exactly what I did. I went to go and start my own community to lead it and guide it the way that I myself was looking for, right? I had to go and make something that I was looking for. If it was not out there, I'll just go and do it myself, right? So that's really the genesis of the Junior Investors Club.
Wow. Yeah, so I'm just curious, right? Because when I know when you first decide to create a community, right? You're also still learning yourself. You're still very open to growth, right? It's not like you thought that you were the master, right? And one thing I love,
no, it's still a learning.
You were still learning. So I guess were you a bit? Was there any fear, right, behind that? Like saying, hey, if I actually put myself out there, right, what will other people say, right? What will people start criticizing me? Was there any fear there, right? And if so, hey, how do you overcome it? And I'm just curious, what was your mindset at the point of time?
So strangely enough, I did not really have this. I think people will call it the imposter syndrome, this kind of thing, right? So strangely enough, because I have been investing for quite some time, so my basics was still kind of there. I kind of knew what I was talking about.
Okay.
But the thing about so then people ask me questions and I explain and one of the thing that comes with continuous repetition or teaching, right? One of the things that come about from teaching is that the more you teach, actually you deepen your own knowledge, right? So because at the start there was a lot of people asking very basic questions and it's something simple that I can answer. The more I answer people's questions, in a sense, the cleverer I become. So that really supercharged and boosted my skills, right? The ability to have a good community. People are constantly asking relevant questions, and then the more I answer, the better I get at it. And when they start to ask deeper and deeper questions, because the basics have cleared through already, right? And then I myself will go and do my own little bit of digging to go and answer more and more complicated questions, and it kind of snowball from there, right? And that's where I also like to encourage people to take up teaching as well, because that really snowballs your own knowledge advancement level, right? The more you teach, the faster you learn, in fact, right? So I teach the basics so much that my basics is now very straightforward stuff, right? So then we can really leverage on each other's questions and answers and experiences to go deeper and deeper and deeper to really fortify our own knowledge fortress, right? And just go bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I love the story of how you decided, as in you're struggling with the business because of COVID-19, right? After you tried to prevent investments, you took it seriously, right? And I love the fact that when you actually help, when you actually share, you actually teach people, right, you just to get better. So it's what I call a very perfect example of a win-win relationship, right? And you're also trying to find something you wanted, and that's one of the best ways when it talks about building a side hustle or building a business, that you start out with something that you yourself are finding, or you yourself are facing first, right? You understand so much deeper than if you're just trying to do a business that you have no interest with whatsoever.
Yeah, it's the passion, it's the continuous search for something that's not there, right? If it's not there, really, you got to make it happen at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I love it. So I guess the next question, right, is finding out a bit more about GIC, right? So which is how big is the group right now? Is it a couple of hundred, right?
It's about 300-ish people, right?
Okay.
I've got members from I still have some members from the very, very beginning of last year. So they're 1+ year old members, right? And the great thing about the Junior Investors Club is that, because of our teaching spirit, right? We teach our students, and I always encourage my students, if they want to accelerate their learning, to actually go and teach or give tuition to the weaker students, right? And that way they also boost their own basic knowledge, and then we all can level up together. Right?
Yeah, I love it. So one thing about the GIC, from what I heard, right, but I know different folks are in there, is that it's extremely interactive, right? A lot of support, right, is given onto them, right? So I guess one quick question is like, out of your experience since you built GIC, right, is what are some observations of the biggest mistakes, right, you actually observe that some of these investors tend to make, especially, and let's say, especially in relation to options investing, right? Well, I think that's the core focus of what you guys do. So what are some of the most common mistakes you see some of the folks making, especially when starting out?
A very common, and I think one of those, I'm gonna throw a little bit of a big firecracker here, right? Because one of the big common problems that I notice, right, is people's obsession with the word conviction, right? So we in the investment industry, I think a lot of personal development kind of stuff, they use the word conviction a lot, and not say it's a bad thing, but to me, I find it not the complete story. It's one half of the coin, right? So I've got a lot of students who say, yeah, they are convicted, they are very convicted in certain positions that they put, and this is one of those things that actually blindside them a lot. Too much conviction that they forget about the reality of things, right? So I always tell them, like, there's two sides of the coin. One side is conviction, the other side is reality, right? So if you, the main difference between stocks investing and options investing is that stocks you can hold on forever. There's no time decay, right? Whereas options, there is always an expiry date that you need to worry about, you need to think about, right? It's a real thing that is ticking down, right? So yes, you can be convicted in a stock, but look at your position, right? Do you realistically have enough time left on that position, or do you need to cut loss? And that ties into the fact that that's why a lot of people find it very hard to cut losses, right? In options, you really need to practice to master the skill of cutting losses when at the correct moment. You cannot hold on, hope and conviction, right? That's the main difference, or that's one of the very big issues that I see, and it happens everywhere. It's hard to they call it the sunken cost fallacy, right? So you put your money in, and then you just don't want to cut loss. But you find that those people that don't practice cutting losses properly, they will incur bigger and bigger losses. But that is why I like to take a step back and really look at the overall landscape or the situation of the whole market in general, right? Realistically, like conviction, it will go up in general, but at this moment in time is sideways. So therefore, you need to look at it realistically and adjust accordingly, rather than just hope that it's going up. It will go up eventually.
Wow, actually, I love that, and this is the first time I'm hearing from you, like the fact that, and what I'm hearing is the fact that there's a danger of people being blindly convicted, right? That
correct.
blind conviction, because stocks, yes, you can hold forever, right? The market goes up, the companies are good as great, right? But even if you're holding stocks, right, and I know you talk about options where things might be a bit more volatile, right? There's time decay, right? Which is the fact that, dude, right, if the fundamentals of the company change, right?
Correct, exactly.
Right.
So if
You
they
cannot
really like the company, and then the fundamental is no good, and they still don't believe the actual fact that it's not a good company anymore, then they still hold. So it works in everything, that they just get blindsided by sinking too much of their investments in certain things without doing the actual realistic research.
So like conviction with that serving of reality, right? At the same time, to make sure they get started. So I love that, man. So so besides that, okay, any other mistakes that you observe, or that's one of the biggest ones you saw? Or and like any advice you have, right, for investors, right, who might want to start out right, in this space, right, they might dabble a little bit into options, a bit of stocks, right, but if they want to take it seriously, right, what do you think are some things that they should do, right, to make sure that they actually make sure that it's like, okay, I'm going to get it done, right, I'm going to make sure it's successful, right? What are some things you might want to advise this group of folks for themselves?
One of the, I mean, for me, it is really about dedication to the craft, right? If you really want to become a full-time investor or trader, right, you really need to put in the effort to go and learn, right? I recently come up with a new phrase like yesterday, to prioritize learning before earning, right? So if you actually rush and try to earn money, you will find yourself losing more than when you started, right? If you don't properly learn the fundamentals, the steps, the whole mechanism behind what exactly you are doing, right? So actually, if you prioritize the learning of the processes and don't rush the earning part, right, you can go way further than if you just try to go for those very FOMO trades or chasing the money, this kind of thing, right? That's one of those little tips that I go and tell my guys, we don't need to rush to go and catch things that are suddenly flying, right? If it's flying already, it's a bit too late. Just observe, go and learn about it, learn why it happened, right? Observe the market, go and properly learn why certain situations happen. And then we all know the market is always there. There's always opportunity. The opportunities will come back one way or another. And when it does come back, you are properly equipped to be able to handle it and just capture it as and when, right? Rather than rushing and then you are stuck, you don't know what's happening, you're in the middle of it all and you just blur, right? So that's that.
And okay, so one thing I really get, right, from you, bro, like, is the fact that you are very grounded, right, with your portfolio of the positions, right? You are like the calm, right? You miss all the storm, right? Because I know when a lot like things can happen, right? The market's volatile, right? I don't say, hey, right, bro, you like provide that grounding, right? And tell everyone to calm, right, chill, guys, because you have that sense. So, like, if you had to advise, right, an investor, right, how like some routines or some tips, right, on how they can stay grounded amidst all the volatility, right, all the uncertainty, right? What are some specific tips or advice you might want to give to some folks who might tend to like go FOMO and go crazy, right, during this period of time?
This is also a very big issue that is quite common amongst a lot of new investors out there, that they don't have the emotional control or stability. And in JIC, we really drill this down into people's head and train them to be emotionally stable. And one of those exercises, or one of those basic tips to keep yourself grounded, right, is that everybody wants to have a good night's sleep, right? Everybody wants to sleep soundly, sleep peacefully, even when the market is volatile and all that. I can sleep peacefully, right? And that is about portfolio sizing. So if you have any single trade that you find that will damage you irreparably, that means you simply have over leveraged too much, right? Because if one trade can take down your whole portfolio, that is, you've done too much on that one, you've put too much on that. So simply release pressure, right? You can just cut it away. Once you solve the problem, right, you'll find yourself more grounded and level-headed to think, right? So I've got a lot of I've got some students who really are feeling the pain during when the market crashed and it became sideways for a while, right? They have losing positions and they just can't get into the correct mind space to go and find a solution to solve it. And it's very easy. The way that I always advise them, and I do it myself, is that if a position is painful, it's okay to cut it away. Once you clear out that mental anguish, right, you have clarity of thought to go and think yourself out and continue on, right? Once you clear out all the negativity, your head is only full of opportunity and positive thinking. Then you can think of strategy, how to continue on and grow back your losses or whatever is it you need to do after that, right? So just remove the obstacle straight away, just cut, it's fine. Then you can think properly.
Wow, you sound like the positive hope, like right, which I like, right? The spirit of the energy, like it's gonna be okay, right?
Once there's no problem, there is simply no problem. It's very important.
Wow. Okay. So I will go a bit deeper, right? But on a more implementable basis, right? For some folks to actually apply, right? So for example, some I say, John, like what I think is great, man, right? Like it's positive, right? I sound hopeful. But when the market actually happens, it opens at 10:30 p.m. or 9:30 p.m., right? Right before I make a trade, oh, my head is in anguish. I can't. So do you like advise, like, do you have any like rituals or like routines, whether it's like a bit of deep breathing or grounding or checklist, right? I just want to get a sense. Take a shower. Okay.
Right. One of those things. I don't start my night so early on the dot. Right. Here's the thing. The market opens at 9:30. You don't need to rush in at 9:30 to place your trade. Right. So I don't have any like pre-ritual, but I also don't obsess over the market in the daytime. Right. In the daytime, the stock market is closed. You can't do anything. Simply don't put your mind over there. Don't worry about things you can't change. Right. The market is closed or it's a weekend. Right. Weekend, sometimes people like to obsess over the market, check their position. Your position is not moving. It's okay. Go and enjoy your life, do other things, because the stock market at the end of the day is just a tool to help you to earn money, right? And you are earning money so that you can buy back your time and enjoy it the way you want, right? So if you obsess about these kind of things too much, you simply are not in the correct type of mind space as well. And it's all about training your psychology as well, right? If you have a lot of greed, then you will find yourself chasing a lot. And we are taught not to chase the thing. Take a look at it properly, right? Apply the correct strategy and principles, and everything will fall into place nicely, right? So just don't feel terrible about things that you can't change. Instead, right, go and try to do things that you can actively change instead. Like maybe you can, go and read up about, don't worry about your trade stuck in a thing or sim, right? You can't do anything, but you can go and, learn about new strategies. You can go and, read up about different mechanisms, or you can enjoy your life as well. You can go and hang out with your family or whatever, right? Because having that clarity of thought, right, without all the clutter of worry and all that, is very important, right? Before you even want to trade properly, you need to have you need to be clear-headed to think properly through all your steps, because there certainly are steps, and it really doesn't help if you second guess yourself or you have a lot of worry and anxiety, right? So just do whatever you want to clear it, right? You can't change anything about the stock market. It's closed. Go and do other things to go and relax or whatever. It's very important to have this clarity of thought when you're doing both investing and trading.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, right, and some people might say that, what the hell, I mean, that's the advice, right, which is go and hang out with my friends, right, during the markets, right, but actually, I do feel it works, because, like, some days, right, when, like, there's a certain way of time, right, I go out with friends, right, I'm preparing, like, having my friend do being a best man for the wedding, right, and then I don't look at the markets, right, after a while, I'm like, actually, like, nothing changed, right, so it's actually a very good piece of advice for folks who might be starting out and still feel very uncertain and looking at them stock charts every day, right?
Just looking at it non-stop. It's close. It's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
And just to have fun, right? So I guess moving on to my last question in this topic, right, is so you have been attending programs for like quite a long of years, since, like you said, long time ago, right? Since the dad sent you, right? So at least in your personal observations, right? Because I know there are some like typical responses that everybody talk about, but what do you think are some of the characteristics that stand out to you, right, on participants, right, and students, right, when you attend all these courses, right, and achieve way faster, better, bigger results, right, than those, right, who might still be a bit slow or still struggling to and a bit stuck at where they're, at least in your own personal observations over the years of being in this progress and starting all this space for the past couple of years?
Well, this also is quite an understandable issue. Everybody starts at different levels, right? I've got students. Some people advance very fast, some people advance very slow, but my point of view is that as long as you are progressing forward, as long as every day you learn a bit of something better than yesterday, right? Doesn't matter what speed you're going at, right? As long as you go forward at whatever pace you are, is perfectly fine, because there's no point forcing all this information on yourself so quickly and then you burn out, right? Some people want to just jam everything into their head, and then they just can't handle it. They give up very quickly because there's a lot of mental stress, right? And we talk about this a lot, and I'm sure you also do understand about the power of the mind, right? That if your mind is not working properly, right, you just have too much things stuck in there, and you just feel it's very hot, right? You just can't progress. You don't feel good about doing it, right? So my advice really is to not compare yourself with other people. Different people move at different speed. You have to you have to know yourself. What is the speed at which you can handle? Because if you are going for a lot of trainings and all these things, it's really to actually, the whole point is to better your life, right? For the long run. It's not just a 3-day thing and then finish. You're going to learn the skill. You are going to apply it for the rest of your life, right? All these skills that no one can take it from you once you learn it. But there is no point rushing through, and then you pay so much, you rush through, you forget, you try your hardest to remember everything, and then after 1 month, you're like, oh, you know what? I think not for me. I just give up, right? So, and that comes because people are very FOMO, right? They are rushing for the end result. They want the instant gratification. So you have to, one of the things, because I do work in the arts as well, and there's a lot of artists who burn out because they rush, right? So you have to pace yourself realistically, right? I like to use conviction versus reality these days, because people forget about reality. You have to know your body. You have to know what you can handle, right? Yes, you can go until the limit, but you have to know exactly where is it. There's no point go beyond and then you just give up. You just, you totally mentally break down and just cannot continue anymore, right? So, don't compare yourself with others. Know yourself inside and out, right? And pace yourself. As long as you are continuously moving, right, not stagnant, move a little bit is better than not moving at all or move backwards.
Wow. Yeah, I really love it. And I think I love the fact they focus on the mindset and psychology. And one huge one, I think you also know, right, is that people like to compare, right? It's just humans,
There's no point comparing. Other guy's portfolio is not your portfolio. It's different. It doesn't affect you in any way.
So, thanks so much for sharing. I think those are big ones, right? Big useful ones, right? For folks who might be there starting out a bit inexperienced or a bit just like every bit of anxiety right now in the market. So I guess moving on to my next couple of questions, right? Just to find out a little bit of sense of the market right now is June 2021, right? So this interview, right? So what are some of your thoughts, right? And GIC's, your community's thoughts about the whole crypto market right now, right? Is it a big crash? Like, do you invest it right now? Like just want to get a rough sense about where do you see it going in the next couple of years?
Crypto is an interesting thing. Actually, I myself have been invested in crypto since when was it? I also can't remember. 2016, I think.
Wow.
I've been invested in Bitcoin since 2016, and I actually experimented. There was a phase in my life when I was trying to find the practical way for financial freedom. I know theoretically I was looking for practical applications. So I was doing crypto. Back in the day, I was actually experimenting with some mining as well. I actually mined Dogecoin back in the day.
Wow, that was crazy, man.
Right. So, wait, what's the question again?
General thoughts on it.
On crypto, right? Yeah. So I think it's very exciting technology. It's still, it's not regulated by any major bodies, and that's the whole purpose of cryptocurrency, to be decentralized, right? And to be out of the control of any single organization. That's the beauty of it, right? And with that come its caveats as well, right? So it's another double-edged sword. One is that it's not controlled by anybody, and the other side of the coin is that it's not controlled by anybody, right? So you know, in the stock market, you have the SEC come and step in whenever people get a bit too crazy. But in the world of cryptocurrency, right, Elon Musk tweets something, it fly up, it fly down. Nobody is going to say anything or stop anything. So you have to be aware of this, right? You must be ready to play in the wild, wild west. There's no rules over there, right? In a sense. And one of those things that really I want to give advice towards the people who are moving towards cryptocurrency, or especially, and I do notice this, there's a lot of people who actually from the stock market crash, and then people flood into crypto as a new hot thing. This is one of the big fat mistakes that I see, right? They're running away from the rate of the stock market to go into crypto, and then they bash into another rate, right? No matter what you invest in, be it crypto, be it stocks, be it property, be it whatever, you must learn how to handle the red days. Doesn't matter what vehicle you are doing, right? Learn how to handle the ups and downs of it, right? And then wherever you go, right, you can handle green days, you can handle red days. Whichever investment, whichever vehicle you choose to invest in, the principles are more or less the same, right? With regards to crypto specifically, I do like it, right? The rules apply for everything. Still, remember to portfolio size. It's hyper volatile. Only invest in a certain amount that you are willing to lose, right? As always, as with everything, right? And I think with this in mind, right, prepare to lose everything. You settle your downside, then the upsides will just come naturally, right?
Okay.
So that's that's my point of view on this. Right, there's a lot of new technologies coming up from the cryptocurrency world. There's staking, right? There's DeFi, there's all these kind of things. A lot of very complicated technologies. You have to know what it is, right? You have to read about it. You have to learn about it. You have to, if you want to be invested in crypto, right? You have to immerse yourself in the world of crypto and understand all these terminologies and words. It's very complicated and very confusing, but that's the more you understand it, the better you become at it. It's as straightforward as that.
Yeah, so it's a very nice sounding warning, right? So because the way some make it sound like it's true, but dude, like people really have to understand the fact that crypto is not an easy instrument to understand right now, right? It's still in the early stages, right? It's still complicated, right? Anything could happen, right?
Anything can happen.
Right. So
be prepared for anything.
I think you mentioned. Yeah, I think the way you said it, I like the way you say it sounds very calming, right? This is just something that really points out to me, right? But it's really like a harsh, like what I say. If I would do it, right, just to warn guys that if you're getting it, you must be really aware about the risk, right?
Yeah, correct.
Which can be very scary if you're not prepared. All right. So with that, right, I guess goes my last question, right, which is just the fact that so I know this could be a mix of business and investing, right? So you can see how you want to tweak it, right, to your own liking, right? So let's say, right, John, you had to start completely from scratch, right? Just with your knowledge, right? You are in a place with internet connection, right? You do have any connections? No physical connection means you don't know anyone around the space, that new city, right? So what will you do, right, personally for yourself, right, in the first 30 days, right, to not only bounce back to where you are today, right, where we are right now, right, with GIC, right, with your income, right, with the fact that you're loving what you do each day, right? I know that's what you do, right? And also beyond, right, where you are right now. What we do in the first 30 days, you have to start completely from scratch, right, to be actually at the phase of where you are right now and even beyond that.
Start from scratch as in like I become bankrupt and start from zero again.
Yes. Yeah, so maybe some money, right, to just feed yourself in terms of little food, but you want to actually start from scratch all over again to be where you are.
So if I was really to start from scratch, right, I really don't think I will do anything different, because really everything that you learn along the way really builds up what you have now, right? So I would say that really knowledge acquisition is the most important thing. Even now, right, every day can be considered the start of a new thing, in fact, right? Every day you have to go and every day you learn something or you progress yourself through, you progress your own knowledge. And knowledge is one of those things that nobody can take away from you. Once it's in your brain, it's in your brain, right? And it doesn't degrade or anything unless you stop using that knowledge in a practical manner, and then you forget, right? So you have once you learn, you also got to apply, right? You got to implement, you got to practice it, right? So if I was to really start from scratch, let me see. I really don't think there is much that I would change, right? I really enjoy the pace at which I am learning, right? I am not in a rush for anything, right? And I find that, even the mistakes you make can be very good lessons, right? I tell my guys, right? Yeah, even I make mistakes, right? I am the head coach of JSC, and even I make mistakes, and I dare to admit, right? And I say, yeah, I made a mistake, right? I've progressed my knowledge, and this is the new version of the thing, right? Every iteration better than the last. That's what I like to say, right? So, take everything you have in stride. There's always a learning lesson in really everything, be it good or bad. In fact, there are more good lessons in bad situations than there are, bad lessons in good situations, right? There's so much things to always improve yourself upon, right? So
So what we're hearing is really a lot of patience, right? Which is great, right? Some people like to chong it out, right? But I think your approach is the fact, okay, guys, right? Whatever you learn, whatever you do, right? It's really just about how can you take those learning lessons and improve over and over again, right? The version 1, right? 1.1, 1.2, right? Just
yeah.
getting
In
better
fact, we are in
over.
GIC version 3 already. Actually.
Version 3 already. Yeah, wonderful. All right. So with that, John, I think this was a great interview, right? I would say that this is an interview that really could calm people down. They're feeling a bit of anxiousness and nervousness in the market, right? So thanks so much for sharing your knowledge, your expertise, your insights, right? So with that, any last words for the audience out there, right? Any last words, any last parting word of advice, right? They want to live the interview with.
Well, I mean, we talk a lot about psychology and mentality kind of thing. So, I mean, I want to impart some, those other two are good for the mind, but the other side of the coin is the body as well, right? So you do need to take action once you have learned everything, right? And one of those things that really helps to build confidence in taking active action is that you definitely need to practice what you learn, right? There is no point just learning and then not applying, right? But then again, it's scary to try out a new thing. So, but nobody will laugh at you if you start small, right? So definitely take small steps. Every step, whatever size you want to take, be it a small step, be it a big step, is always a step forward, right? So even if you have been hit by the stock market or the crypto, right? It crashed a lot and you are feeling very sad. Get yourself out of that sad space. Take small steps towards recovery, right? So you can do very simple trades. You do a few dollars, you earn a few more dollars, a small amount like 10%, 20% profit, this kind of thing. You just take it, it's fine. It helps you to rebuild confidence, because after red days in the market, people lose confidence, they feel very sad. But you need to keep moving forward, right? You cannot stagnate, you cannot go backwards. You need to keep on moving forward. Take small steps, right? Do what you need to do to make things better, rather than be stuck in a situation where you're just mentally stuck. Actually, physically you can make changes, but mentally you are just stuck, right? So just take small steps, take the easy steps. It's perfectly fine. Nobody will laugh at you. Do things at your own pace, right? So some practical steps.
I love it, man. So really about, as we can say a lot about mindset, right? But if you don't actually take any action, things don't move, right? So I love the saying exactly
the mind is not in reality. It's useless. It's useless if it's in here, right? It just got to come out, right?
Actually got to implement, right? So exactly what we talk about in Mastermind. So thanks so much for that. So that, right? Thanks so much for the interview today, John. Right? I think you've been a great blessing, right, to the folks that have been listening to this, especially, like I said, to ground folks, right, to especially in this time of market certainty, right? Every time there's a good market crash, I might just want to send the videos to the people watching, right? So that, thanks, John, and thanks, guys, for those who are watching, right? Leave a comment if you liked it, right? And I will see you guys soon for the next interview. Bye, everyone.